never understand people who say retail is the worst job ever to exist in the history of the world. Like, yeah, maybe I'm lucky and I got the most chill job in the world, but I've done hospitality. That dumpster fire is way worse. However, retail is still retail, and I have stories. I used to work for a reasonably large secondhand tech and video game store. The name would actually get me demonetized, so I think that's all the information that is in the no need. At least I think so. The customers would always mispronounce the name because saying it was awkward for most people. At least we got to call our shift plan sheet positions, which sounds weird when I say it without context, but one of my co-workers is a VTuber and called out the company by name on her stream, and I don't want to get any leftover flack, so I'm not going to elaborate. Anyway, basically my job was being knowledgeable on selling video games, but my main interest was the retro video games. I got to spend all day going through piles of old games and seeing what customers were selling to us. It got even better when we started buying in actual retro games, and I got to go through piles of Game Boy and N64 games. It was so much fun. Though my heart weeps for the NES someone brought in before we could take it. She left the store saying she was going to throw it out, and I really hope she didn't. The company I worked for was chill. Management wasn't the best, which is a whole another story. But after years of working for places with uniforms that didn't allow hair dye or body mods, it was freeing to work there to some degree. We had a loose dress code, were allowed dyed hair, tattoos, and nails. I was allowed to swear. I got free food at any point in my shift it was slow enough. And honestly, so much more. They basically treated us like adults capable of managing our own time, which is definitely a change, and so rare in the industry for some reason. My favourite time of the year was Christmas, which is a sentence no one in retail has ever said. Ever. Anyone who worked the Christmas Eve shift got pizza and adult apple juice to drink on shift, and as it got slower in the evenings, we were allowed to play games. I once spent most of my Christmas Eve shift playing Pokemon White on my DS. Just be leant over the counter randomly greeting customers and then coming in all frazzled, looking for a phone for their door, they'd be going right back to it. It was great. My co-workers well made it though. We had a bit of a high turnover rate and lots of staff movement, so people I worked with were constantly changing. But everyone I worked with was chill. Except for the regional manager. Like, don't get me wrong, he was chill, but oh my goodness, he was a coward, which is a story for another time. But because of them, we all definitely spent more than one dead shift just talking shit. We vibed, ranted about games, discussed new ones coming out, occasionally spent way too long testing a console, playing games together, and trauma bonded. Yeah, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The customers sucked, man. Like, don't get me wrong, we had good customers. It's a hobby-based store. It wasn't rare to rant with customers about games, and we had fun doing it. It was one of the best parts about the job, but of course you had those people. Usually men and some women who are your average anime convention attendees. Just look gross, feel gross, and act even grosser. Now, we aren't complete assholes. If it was clear you came in after work, you're fine. It's Australia. Most people work trades and it's constantly a proofing oven outside. We are aware people are going to get smelly occasionally. I'm talking about the true grubs that stink the whole place out and clearly didn't make an effort. We had a whole bottle of Hello Kitty bubblegum body spray to cover up the cloud of stink left behind after we doused the store in Glen 20. It was bad. And the thing is, these guys were regulars, so we knew them all by name and dealt with them more than once a week. And I wish it was just them. The items these boys brought in just like dust, dirt, dead cockroaches, controllers that smell suspiciously like cat piss, and the classic questionable leaves in the PS2 Slim Line disc drive. Oh my goodness. And I wish I could say it was worth it. Most of the time what they bought in was worthless or in such bad condition we couldn't even touch it due to hygiene concerns. Like, honestly, just clean your things, man. It's not that hard. People just bringing in trolleys of stuff that take hours to go through. Bonus points if it's right as we open and an hour before we close. Plus more if it's on weekends and we're already struggling and all your items are obscure tech we have to research in order to price. Sorry, do you know what this is? A music player. Okay. Do you know the brand? No? Well, just letting you know, I could probably only give about 30 cents for it, I think. You what? That's ridiculous. What? I can't believe this is happening to me. It's a music player. It's perfect. You have to give me more than 30 cents for it. This is absolutely ridiculous. Our regulars who fix things up just to sell to us. I wish I could say that they knew what they were doing, but only one did. The rest were just nuisances that never learned what we could and couldn't take, despite telling them every single time. Okay, I get it. Most customers are a little entitled, but I actually love the story. Saturday rush, hundreds of customers, and we have bought in hundreds and thousands of items. Blu-ray stacked everywhere, consoles all lined up waiting to be cleaned and labelled, and I can't stress this enough, multiple PlayStation consoles from PS1 to PS5 all next to each other, all ready to be cleaned. 3 of my co-workers on register, manager is testing, our trainee is processing all of the buys, and I'm cleaning and filling gaps in the shelf for our stuff the trainee has processed. A man gets up to the line and asks for a PS5 from the window. My co-worker gets it down and that's $700, mate. Yeah, but it's labelled $280. Oh, yeah, it's got the wrong label, sorry about that. You have to sell it to me as advertised. Which pause, because what? Yes, companies have to sell things for they're advertised for as part of a law meant to reduce false advertising, but that's not what this is. Look, man, the system says it's $700. We go off the system and I can't change the price. You have to sell it to me as advertised. I understand that's what the label says, but the label also says it's a PS3. We've clearly mislabeled it. I had a whole thing scripted out about yelling, but I can't yell. So basically this guy just starts screaming his head off about how he knows his rights and how we have to sell it for him on the label. It got bad. I love it when customers use that line because they never know their rights. They're always wrong. And all those people, this guy was an asshole. He went around in circles with him for 30 minutes saying the exact same thing. He threatened to call the police on us and we told him to because we were about to call security anyway because he was refusing to leave. He eventually realized that he had no power and left, kicking the Blu-ray shelf as he left, which was honestly the cherry on top because he clearly tried to push it over, but it was heavier than expected and almost tripped because he got his foot caught on the shelf or something. I just... 10 out of 10 best customer ever. Love that man. I wish I could see him again, but... So every store I ever worked at had roller doors, and we always left it a little bit open so staff could crawl in and out. I can't tell you how many times customers crawl under that thing and started shopping like it was normal. The scariest time was probably when I was opening with the manager. I was counting the tills and making sure everything was okay, and he ran out to do his daily coffee run before we opened. So I was in the dark counting $1,000 and I hear a, "Hi, can I ask you a question?" And I nearly jumped out of my fucking skin. And sure enough, in the dark, a 30-year-old something man acting like it was the most normal thing in the world. I immediately shoved the money out aside and tell him that he can't be in here. He looks so confused, which how? The door is 30 centimeters off the ground, my man. You had to crawl in. It is almost pitch black in here, and you're shocked that we aren't open? He tried again, and I have to tell him that I was going to call security if he didn't get out. And he eventually left. But the weirdest thing is I didn't see him after we opened. I don't know what his plan was, but nope, do not come into my store when I'm all alone in the dark, and definitely not when I'm holding hundreds of dollars. The fuck, man? What? Basically, if you come into my store with a fully sealed 4K Blu-ray box set, expensive items really good condition in bulk, or consoles on release date, and take the measly amount that we offer, I know that you stole it. I'm not stupid. Outside of all the consoles and games, we also deal in hard drives and second-hand phones. Yeah, the amount of times a man handed me a phone with photos of their wives or random women's nudes on the lock screen is absurd. Also, we definitely didn't have to call the police on people for having hard drives of adult material on the more illegal side. Part of me is glad these PDFs are stupid, but oh my goodness, man. I shouldn't have to be calling the police at my own job. What the fuck? I do need to preface, having adult material on your hard drives is completely fine. It is normal. Just, if you're going to sell a hard drive, wipe it. Please. I don't need to be seeing that. Also, just in general, if you're going to sell something, wipe it. There's no guarantee that the person you're selling to will wipe your information, so now you're just going to have a giant data breach. Just wipe your devices. Okay, so I can't dance around it much longer. Working in a game store as a femme-presenting person can be hell. The number of men who ignored me, called me love, leant over the counter just slightly too close to be natural. I understand you've never seen a girl in your life, but you smell like you haven't had a shower in days, and I don't do men, so just go. Get. I used to work between a bunch of stores, and the number of customers I'm pretty sure traveled to every store to find me was scary. There's no reason for a regular at another store to be showing up here unless that is the case. And at first I gave them the benefit of the doubt, but nah. One time one greeted me saying, "I finally found you, thought you were avoiding me," and that was it, I was done. I wasn't avoiding you before, but now I am. Fuck off. Shoo. And sure, creeps are bad, but the true vocal sexes are the worst. Like, yeah, this man is borderline harassing me, but this one refuses to listen to me, which is somehow more offensive. Like, there's me, my manager, and our trainee working a slow day. Old man comes in, asks for a pencil for his iPad, and points to a cheap tablet pencil. I simply explain that specific one was Android only and would not work for him. He then had the audacity to look me in the eyes and asks, well, why do you think that? Like, because I know the brand is exclusively made for Android OS. I didn't know what else to say, so I reiterated that it was simply not compatible. And do you know what this man asked me? No, you're not listening. Why do you think that? At this point, I'm stumped. I've answered the question twice and he still thinks I'm a total idiot. And to be honest, I must have looked like that because I froze on the spot. He just shook his head and walked over to my trainee who, guess what? Oh yeah, these pens are specifically made for Android devices. He said the exact same fucking thing. Oh my goodness. You know what's more annoying? He believed me now. No questions, just going in circles. Just acceptance. Oh my goodness. Yeah, unfortunately it wasn't uncommon to get threats made either. A manager once had to be escorted to her car because a customer got so pissed he thought it was appropriate to threaten her life. And I wish that was the only threat made. There's no easy way to say this, but my co-workers and I had our lives threatened over video games all the fucking time. And I think this guy was the craziest. He came in every day, bought Assassin's Creed or God of War, and then returned it before we closed. We eventually realised he was catching a 2-hour train ride going to Cashies, crossing the road and getting to us just before opening, and then went to Ibis Games, only to do it all again in the afternoon. There was a policy that if we knew people were reselling our stock to competitors, we should stop them, and we did. He didn't like that. After like 3 months of repeatedly denying this guy service, we got a call from security saying that they knew one of our customers was actively planning to, and just to be careful and call them if he showed up again. But Zaf, why couldn't they report it to the police? Because, and get this, the only evidence they had was a report from another store that this guy was bragging about his plans to do so. The only reason we knew was because this man was bragging about it to a poor cashier nearby at EB Games. Like, we knew he was dumb, but come on, my man. We're friends with the people from EB Games. Like, nothing ended up happening anyway. Every time he came in, he got escorted out, and eventually he stopped rocking up. And now, you might be wondering why I consider retail an easy job. Well, unfortunately, I got worse stuff pulled at me working in fast food as a 16-year-old than I ever did doing this. I'll never understand why this type of behavior is a thing that happens. I'm not talking about people bringing in trolleys full of things, by the way. I understand that, and I can complain, but I understand. What I don't understand is people thinking it's okay to verbally abuse, threaten, and risk the lives of service workers. Like, just be kind. I think I can vouch for every retail worker when I say that we are more likely to break policy and help you if you are just simply nice to us. Like, the second you raise your voice, all sympathy is gone. We don't care anymore. We just want you gone. I don't know. This got darker than I expected. Just be nice to each other. We're all on this earth together. It would be easier if we all just could do our jobs without getting abused over a hunk of metal. You know? Yay! Well, that's done. Honestly, I have no idea how I sound. Apparently I come off really, really bleh. I can talk. Honestly, I have no idea how this video turned out. I have a stutter for starters, so that probably came through a lot, and my brain also runs at like 100 miles an hour. So reading scripts and just talking naturally while being recorded is a fun learning curve. And also apparently I sound really monotone, just in general. So I'm really trying to emphasize my voice, but it's fun. Yeah. But I'm currently sitting in my closet, because it's the only place I can get that might even give a reasonably good sound. But yeah. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day, and remember to take care of yourselves. Bye! Closet. Goodness me.